2023 wasn't a good year for the Carolina Panthers, but I'm trying to make 2024 a better one for myself. Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including keto options, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Skip that overpriced takeout trap. Factor is cheaper and way more delicious than takeout. Get chef-crafted, restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door, and they're ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, which means more time for you. Head to factormeals.com/C350 and use the promo code C350 to get 50% off. That's code C350 at factormeals.com/C350 to get 50% off.
Coming to fruition because Cam is actually a pocket quarterback. Who knew? Oh my goodness.
Tackle McCaffrey. Must be through at the 30, 35, 40. Quick race down the right side. Here he goes at the 50, 40, to the Miami 30, 20, at the 10. A swipe with the ankles. They can't get him. Touchdown, Christian McCaffrey.
They can't get them, but you can catch us on Tuesday nights. It's the C3 Panthers podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. I'm here this week with Cody Lashney. He's producing the show. Cody, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good, man. It's a Tuesday night, and the chat room is already popping. Legacy Lynn, Susan Deans, Josh from Mass, Underground West, 10 Tizzy. It's popping. We're going to show the offensive line some love in our free agency preview tonight. Man, even though it's the dead of the offseason, it seems like there's always something to talk about. The combines are coming up. I'm ready to do it, man. Let's do it. Let's get it done.
This week's show is Rivera Speaks, Cam's Love Life, and the combine and free agency are approaching us. So we're going to give you a little insight into Ron Rivera. I think his nose is growing like Pinocchio. That's right. Speaking lines, I would say you got to be careful, Rivera. Your nose is getting long. So we're going to be talking about all that plus more. And you can be a part of that show by calling into the Cat Calls line. The number's 252-228-5098. We encourage you to subscribe to the show on whatever platform you found us. Leave a review, smash the thumbs up button, all of that jazz, and show some love to the Overtime Media Network, which we're a part of, trying to grow a discussion of football, all types of sports, just like we do. So give those guys some love if you see a show featured by Overtime Media. Cody, let's go ahead and let's bounce into this show right here. Let's cue up Ron Rivera on Ron Rivera 1. He joined First Take this past week, but they were in Charlotte because of the All-Star game. He joined First Take and mentioned Cam Newton's surgery. Go ahead and cue that up for us.
He's been doing well. You know, I was fortunate enough to see him after he had the procedure. It was one of his first recovery days, and he looked at me and said, "Coach, I got the mobility back." So that was a plus, a huge plus. But the biggest thing, more so than anything else, and you heard him say it right there, he feels challenged. And anytime he's felt challenged, he's stepped up his game, and he's had a great season. So I'm kind of excited about going into this season.
Ron Rivera spoke to Cam Newton after his recent procedure that was done. on his shoulder. We don't have a ton of detail about it other than we saw on his YouTube channel that the doctor was optimistic after they scoped it and looked at it, that it wasn't as bad as they potentially thought it could be. And it was cleaning up a little scar tissue mainly. But one of the things we saw Cam Newton talk about relentlessly and on his debut episode of his YouTube channel was that range of motion continued to be an issue for him and soreness. So Ron Rivera goes straight to, I don't know how you already know that though, personally, if you're Cam. Like he came out of there like range of motion back, baby, range of motion back. But Ron Rivera has positive things to say. They're optimistic about Cam Newton. We haven't seen him in a sling. I guess this is for Cam Watch 2019. This is good news.
It is. And, maybe he figured out that range of motion doing something else, which might lead into something else that we're going to talk about.
Stretched it out a little bit.
Yeah, he was doing a little too much stretching. But yeah, I agree with you. It's too early to really know right now. But listen, I do agree with that. Cam Newton, whenever he has the opportunity to better himself as a player, he always takes the opportunity to do so, and he does it, and he raises his game to the next level. And I know that he doesn't get a lot of credit for that. And everyone says that you and I are Cam Newton apologists, but I genuinely do feel like whenever you put the weight of the world on Cam Newton's shoulders, then he's going to be the one to, step up to the plate and do it every time. And that's one of the things I respect about Cam and being the leader of our franchise.
Yeah, well, first of all, anybody who accuses me of being a Cam Newton apologist is just speaking the truth. That's all they're saying. That's all they're saying. One love. But
it is what it is.
One of the things, and I didn't grab this clip from First Take, but then Stephen A goes and asks him potentially I guess the need of drafting or going finding a backup to Cam. And Ron, I think, fielded the question like you're probably supposed to and saying, of course, you always need to have a guy in case. You always need to be working for that scenario. But Ron then segued all of a sudden like that would encourage Cam or give him added motivation, which I think is kind of strange. Like, I don't think if you drafted a quarterback in the third round that all of a sudden anybody, particularly me, would feel threatened at the very least for Cam. Like, there would be zero threat, I would think, as long as Cam Newton's arm doesn't fall off. Like, what type of motivation does he need? I feel like he is pretty motivated when it comes to training and playing football. It's some of the other things that go with football, maybe the political baggage or the social baggage that are probably the most daunting for Cam. But how do you feel about a little competition is good for every position, as we've heard Ron Rivera say in the past, and then never do it?
I agree with that notion to a statement. I think a lot of it depends on the position. Real quick, shout out to Susan Deans dropping a very generous $14.99 super chat. We love Susan, and I will gladly help Susan delete Twitter perverts off of her timeline anytime, Susan. Just hit me up. But yeah, I just think that it depends on the position. I don't really like a quarterback competition going into the season, and I think we'll talk about that maybe a little bit later or whenever you want to. But I think if you have the quarterback, he needs to know that he is the man, and they're going to build the team around him, and that we have one guy that is the leader of our football team. And other than the quarterback position, every other spot, yeah, I'm happy with competition. I mean, iron sharpens iron, and you need people to push you sometimes to be your best player. So I'm not mad at that at the left guard position, center.
Yes, at the left. Yeah, exactly. But not Cam Newton.
100%
and B, and to me, that's like acted. I've heard this bizarre thing that all of a sudden the Cardinals are going to draft Kyler Murray. and give up on Rosen already. It's not like Kyler Murray all of a sudden is going to sharpen Rosen by adding competition. That don't do nothing.
No, and that would be so
You're going to ship him out. I mean, it's just now. I mean, I guess if you do trade him to someone and then get Kyler Murray, I can understand that. But I don't believe in any way that a backup quarterback in any case, unless you draft one just for the thought that Cam Newton could say, "Hey, my career has a window." And it could be closing rather than on the opening anymore. Until this year, we have seen Cam Newton's window is opening. The question is, has it opened all the way, or will it continue to open, or is it starting to close?
This is the Overtime Podcast Network.
So I don't think he would be threatened. I guess really what Stephen A. probably was trying to tease out was discussion that emerged this week about Colin Kaepernick, who was settled with the NFL for $80 million. Well, actually, we don't know the number. People have speculated $60 to $80 million. How about this? The real story here: Eric Reid just got paid, brother.
Paid. They threw the bag at that man. I mean, I'm hearing.
I don't know what Eric Reid got, but I bet you it's enough. It was worth a season of misery.
Of course, look, it could not be a better time to be Eric Reid and his family. Not only did he just sign a fat new contract for 3 years to play in Charlotte, but also, man, he just won a collusion suit against the NFL. Man, come on, that dude.
He's going to get paid like number one safety money for 2 years. That's what he'll probably get. That's what he'll get. So I think, but now, all of a sudden, I think that this is what Stephen A. and I, you know what, this is the first time I'm ever going to compliment Stephen A. is I compliment him for not actually going through and asking. Like, I think that he wanted to ask about Kaepernick and if they could potentially see something there. I don't know if the agent had made the statement just yet at that point, but my only nice thing I'm ever going to say about Stephen A. Smith is that he didn't say what he was thinking here, and that is Kaepernick to the Panthers. Your thoughts, Cody?
So listen, here's my very raw, real thoughts about Kaepernick. We have around $15 million in cap money to better our football team over the course of the offseason.
It's going to increase some. It's going to increase some after some cuts, but not tremendously.
Okay, anywhere between 15 to 20 million. Let's just say as a raw estimate. Okay. I mean, that might change if you cut maybe Dontari Poe. It
could be like 25. All of a sudden, we could manufacture 25.
But you're going to tell me, though, that when we have so many needs on the offensive line, on the defensive line, maybe another wide receiver thrown in the mix, that you're going to spend money on a backup quarterback that you hope never sees the field? I mean,
and we're talking this is that when we say spend money too, is that realistically, all right, it would be different. Of course, I guess his lawyer has come out and said that this would be it. Look, is that you've got Carolina here, questions with Cam's shoulder. You have a quarterback that has arguably, or at least they used to like to say they had the same style of play. We actually have no idea what Colin Kaepernick is as a quarterback. We have zero idea, and he never was Cam Newton. We always described him on this show as a discount Cam Newton, right? That's what you were getting, is a discount Cam Newton. But it's not like he's going to come in and take $4 million. If he would come in and take $4 million with the Panthers, then I'm listening.
Yeah,
right, I'm listening. $5 million. I'm listening. But if Sam Bradford got paid $13 million last year to get in a wheelchair and wheel on out there and get cut after week 1 or whatever it was, or not play at all, go straight to IR, Kaepernick, who just won maybe $20 million worth a year of what he missed at the very minimum, you think he's going to take less than 13? Nope. I wouldn't.
I don't think that he will. And Tony, you know what would piss me off a ton? The minute Cam Newton throws an interception or throws a pass at the wrong spot, then they have to hear everyone in woke Twitter.
Where are all the liberal social warriors now?
Yeah. Oh, put in Cap, man. Cap could do that. Cap could do better. It's like, listen, I'm always having to defend Cam Newton, it seems like. And then to have to defend him against a whole nother group of people. I mean, listen, in theory, are they similar in their style of play? They both have a big arm. They're both a threat to run the football. But at the end of the day, man, that's money and resources that you're not sinking into protecting your franchise. Cam Newton, putting pieces around him and or on the defense to help this team be the best that it can be right now. So
the only way here, there is one other scenario that I would field paying see, here's the thing is I don't think you should pay a backup quarterback any money. Almost like it should be negligible. It should be respectable because you have to have someone to fill in the spot. Or you do what we've done, which is just put nobodies in there and just pray that they won't ever come in there. But if you get to June and you have concerns about Cam Newton's progress, I could say, all right, maybe we could then justify getting a guy who could maybe offer us a season.
Yes, and that's also a different scenario too.
Yeah, that is not right now.
That's 100% not right now, and it's a completely different kind of thing right now. But also, from time to time, teams draft quarterbacks even when they have a franchise quarterback. And, it's an insurance policy that you have another guy on the roster that you're comfortable with to be able to at least put your football team in the position to win if your quarterback goes down. There's a quarterback coming out of the University of Buffalo this year named Tyree Jackson, 6'7", a cannon for an arm, and is a mobile guy. I mean, that would be the perfect backup for Cam Newton. He's been a player that I've looked at a lot. I mean, that would be
or what about a guy like Josh Dobbs?
Yeah, I mean, trading for him.
I think he's going to be a free agent this year. They were talking about him being traded for last year because he had a good game in week 4 in the preseason against us. Yeah. But that's a guy that at least here he's had college playing experience and he's been in the NFL. He hasn't played at all in the NFL. But I would say you either have to just have real concerns about Cam Newton and they have to be closer to time, right, for this to be an issue. I think like what you're saying right now is that you dig in the draft if you want to do something like that, or you go and get a cheap option. You cannot pay somebody big time money and then bring on top of that is that and I would like to point this out, folks. Now that Colin Kaepernick has settled with the NFL and this grievance is over, I'm back to disliking him now. I disliked him. Then I'm okay. Then I don't got a problem with him with all this stuff. Now I'm back to disliking him. I remember you coming up in here trying to button the Superman up. You ain't coming to our house and buttoning the Superman up. No way. Superman is going to fly this year. It's going to be fine. I am done with the Kaepernick talk.
Yeah, and my opinion on the last thing has nothing to do with his protest or anything of that matter. I hope he plays football somewhere. I mean, I think it's an interesting storyline. Yeah. And hey, let's see if he still has it. Let's see if he's worth all the talk of everyone saying that he's a quarterback that can go in and lead a franchise. If he is, good. I hope he gets the opportunity. I don't want that here in Carolina. I don't want the controversy behind my quarterback.
What did we say on this show? Was it last week? I think it was last week. And somebody who is a Pittsburgh fan who I know from the bar saw me and he was listening to our podcast and he said, "Crazy." He's like, "You compared Cam Newton to the Archangel Gabriel." Yes, not Gabriel, to Michael, to the warrior angel. Here's the thing. God bless Colin Kaepernick. But you know who I want out there week 1 dealing and wheeling and dealing? Number 1. That's who I want.
Super Cam. The man.
All right. So some conversation. We're going to go to this in just a moment. In just a second, we're going to continue with Ron Rivera's comments. You're listening to C3 Panthers podcast, by the way. The number's 252-228-5098. We want to get your thoughts on some of these things, particularly what Ron Rivera is talking about, because we're kind of done with this Kaepernick mess. Yeah. And that's funny. Now I don't want to talk about it now that it's about football.
Yeah. Now
I'm done with Kaepernick. All right, so Ron Rivera comes out and maybe a week ago or something says, like, I've got to evolve or go extinct. And I think I said this on the show last week, that anytime Ron Rivera says the word or talks about evolution, I get the heebie-jeebies, because my man is like amoeba. He's like he's not evolving, but
it's like I said, evolution for Ron Rivera is like the man cutting the crust off of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
You said it. That's exactly right. So I was thinking this. How about Ron Rivera's got to change these blue glasses he wears? My son has blue glasses that are very similar to Ron Rivera's. Ron Rivera's been wearing these blue glasses for 2 years, and I say, you want to evolve, Ron? Let's evolve to some silver frames, some black frames. Let's evolve there and get some new mojo. That would be my evolutionary step. But he was on First Take this week, and I want to say, Cody, that first is, if you're listening in the car and you got children, I'm going to count down from 3, and you can turn down your radio for 1 second. All right. 3, 2, 1.
No. Wait, hold on. Yeah. Okay. I don't know if this just happened on the video, but you froze up the minute you were about to say whatever it is that you said. It did. It did. I didn't hear anything that you said. So the video, no, that's actually hilarious. Yeah, right, you're going to have to say that one more time, man.
3, 2, 1. Fuck Stephen A. Smith. If I was Ron Rivera, I would refuse this interview after all the dumb shit he has said about Carolina. You can turn your radios back up, folks. I would refuse this interview on First Take completely. But let's go ahead and play clip.
Yeah, while I play a clip too, Tony, refresh your browser, man. You're cutting out again. But and definitely do it now, because you and I both have a lot of feelings about this clip and about the things that Ron is saying, because it didn't sit well with us when you take into consideration what the past few years have been like. So we'll play the clip.
Your priority should be going in the next season? Is it buffering that defense? Because your best year, as far as I'm concerned, wasn't just about Cam. It was about a defense that could be relied upon. But in the same breath, I'm looking at guys like Funches, and I'm saying, all right, yeah, Kelvin Benjamin's going, of course. But I'm thinking about the level of help that Cam Newton might be required, especially somebody like you who didn't want to run in the football as much as he did in the past.
Right, and the truth of the matter, too, is, and you know, when I first got here, our philosophy was, you know, you've got to protect your quarterback and you've got to put playmakers around him. And we've tried to do that through the draft and through free agency. And we understand that. We know we've got to continue to protect our quarterback. So going into free agency, we will look at offensive linemen. Going into the draft, we will look at offensive linemen. But also, we'll look at playmakers. We'll look at guys that when the ball gets in their hands, they take the pressure off the quarterback. Whether it be a runner, a receiver, a tight end, somebody like that. So, you know, as we've go through this and we've talked about it, you know, I've sat down with our general manager, Marty Herney, and we've mapped out a plan both offensively, defensively, and look at the special teams where we need help. And again, we're going forward knowing that we've got to do things to make our team better. And first and foremost is we got to protect the quarterback and put playmakers around him.
Coach, thank you so much for the time.
All right.
So I have two things that I believe about this. One positive and one negative. But Tony, man, just jump on them. Just get them.
All right. First, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Because you're going to need to hear this, folks.
Okay, as of right now, you are crystal clear. Let's hope it stays that way.
Y'all got to hear this. So first, I'd like to say that.
Oh, no, of course. As I say that, You're cutting out again, man. I don't know. We're having problems
As
now.
soon as
1 minute, folks. Let Tony try and reconnect here. Man, YouTube must be a Ron Rivera fan. Because they're trying to stop my man from talking about Ron Rivera. I think I have you back. Are you there?
I'm here. Arius for a second and see if I hang around.
All right. So let me first start with the positive of what I believe about this. If they are going to be looking at offensive linemen in the draft, thank God. This is such an underrated draft for offensive linemen, specifically the tackle position. I am tired of the left tackle being a position of concern for the Panthers. This would be a perfect year for us to bolster that spot. It would be absolutely perfect. But then on the other hand, to say that as Cam Newton has been here, you have always looked to put weapons around him. What are you talking about? Devin Funchess and Kelvin Benjamin have both been the number one wide receiver in this offense. And they both were top 10 in drops in the NFL this year. It makes no sense. Why is there a new left tackle every single year? It's baffling that only now, the past 2 years, has there been an effort to put fast, dynamic players around Cam Newton. And
it's barely an effort. It's barely an effort.
DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, we love McCaffrey.
You went into the season starting rookies. That's it. So let's just act like this. All right, so here's where I got a problem. Number one, you guys heard me say F Stephen A. Smith. Well, as soon as Ron Rivera sat beside Stephen A. Smith, the stink of bullshit wrapped around him. That's what happened. The stink of Stephen A.'s bullshit infiltrated Ron Rivera's DNA, because this is a flat out lie. We have not drafted an offensive lineman higher than Trey Turner and until Taylor Moton. That was it.
Yeah.
Trey Turner. We drafted Trey Turner and Taylor Moton in the entire time that came. Oh, and I forgot Amini Silotulu. In the entire freaking time that Cam Newton has been the quarterback, we have had, ever since Jordan Gross left and retired, we have had a different left tackle.
Yeah.
We have had no names at guard who we have made names. So don't tell me that your priority has been protect Cam. That has not been the priority at all. That has not been the priority. Then to double down on that bullshit and say that your next thing is that since I've been around is to talk about how you want to surround Cam, that did not start. It didn't even start until Dave Gettleman was about to get fired.
Yeah.
And so look, if what I would say is this, is that there has been a priority over the last 18 months to do that.
Yeah.
But not since he got here. This has been a win with defense team, run the ball with Cam Newton as your leader and hopefully a veteran running back, and see what we can do, because we can always win with Super Cam. This is straight up lies. And it's one of those lies where it's just speak. It's not like lies, like he's trying to, but maybe he is trying to lie. But it's like Stephen A. lies. Stephen A. Smith lies because he just talks about shit out his ass that he don't know about. And not because he's unintelligent, just because he's got to talk about crap that he ain't watched. So Ron Rivera, we have watched you since you got here, brother. And look, I am with you right now. You are our coach. I think it was a good move to retain you, but don't give us that bullshit that you have prioritized protecting Cam Newton, because that's a flat out damn lie. And on top of that, Ron Rivera, you look like my son when he was in second grade and he buttoned his polo shirts all the way up to the top. What's up with a button-up polo all the way to the top, brother?
Yeah, he's a button-up kind of guy. So real quick, our chat room also mentions Darrell Williams as someone that the Panthers have drafted. And
Fourth round, I think.
I want to say
third or fourth, maybe third.
I thought it was the second round.
No, Darrell Williams like a fourth round pick or third or fourth.
Well, I could be wrong, but
I'll look it up.
Legacy Lynn says Ron Rivera is also saying what's necessary for Tepper to hear. Jeremy Clancy says sometimes I feel Ron says what you want to hear, and that's the perfect point to what you were saying. That's what Stephen A. Smith does too. They have a list of talking points that they go through that they want to hit on every episode or in every interview or whatever. And yeah, it is a lot of that. They do say what you want to hear. And
look, as we all know that you have to give a press line. I get that. I get that you're not going to come out and say what you're thinking, right? You can't do that. I'm not asking him to do that, but to straight up lie and say that has been his philosophy since he got here. Is that, first of all, if it was your philosophy, then you need to start talking about how Dave Gettleman and these guys didn't truly honor that.
Yeah.
You don't even have to mention that. What you just should say is that we need to prioritize, and we've known this. We've realized this. We need to prioritize this. And we got to keep Cam upright.
This is the Overtime Podcast Network.
So that even if you look at this, now let's go to the other Ron Rivera clip as I cool down a little bit. Just go to that. There should be one more Ron Rivera clip in there. I hope. Yeah, and this is about when Cam Newton revealed his injury. And here, I'm telling you, I'm really got a bad taste in my mouth about Ron Rivera over the last 2 years, and it's not getting better as it should be.
And when I first got here, our philosophy was, you've got to protect your quarterback and you've got to put playmakers around him. And we try to do that.
This is the same one.
And through free agency. And we understand that.
See about if there's a clip about revealing the injury. Because what Stephen A. Smith then went and asked Ron Rivera.
Being close to invincible. How honest and open was he about what was hindering?
My bad.
Well, during that little stretch, he really fought through it. And every time you check with him, every time you'd visit him, was, hey, I'm fine. I'll be all right. I'll be ready to go Sunday, which he was. He gave us everything he had. But the loss to New Orleans on the Monday night game, he came and really said it and was very open and honest about it. That's why I shut him down at the end of the year. That he wanted to give it everything he had, but he knew he couldn't. So he opened up and said it right there, point blank. So I really do appreciate the honesty at that point. Coach, it was pretty.
All right. So it took until I'm trying to look it up. This is the wrong season. I feel like we played New Orleans in like week 13.
Yeah, this past season we did. It was New Orleans and then Atlanta and then New Orleans. Oh,
so
yeah, 13.
Or like 14, 13, like the last 3 games.
13.
Right?
It was 13.
All right, so you're trying to tell me, Ron, Mr. Like this is what I used to like Ron a lot because I felt like he was just being kind of straight, and that is I'm not going to tell you much. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be like, fall on the sword. I don't fall on the sword anymore. But you're trying to tell me that like, he finally came to me and became honest that he wasn't good. And you just figured it out in week 13 when we all saw it 3 weeks, 4 weeks earlier, 5 weeks earlier. You practice with the dude or you see him like what? What do you mean? Like he just all of a sudden recognized that Cam Newton's shoulder was bothering him. I'm good, coach. I'm good. Like, are we watching the same shit?
Yeah, that Tampa Bay game, the last game against Tampa Bay. It was just bad, man. And I understand the the mindset at that point is, well, you're still a playoff contender. You're so close to the playoffs. And yeah, we've lost games by a very small margin, a very narrow window. But man, you know that Cam Newton is your franchise. You know that he's having problems with the shoulder. I mean, and they know this in detail. I mean, they're getting injury reports. There were times, even before that game against the Saints that we're talking about right now, I don't know if he practiced one time. I mean, it was that bad. How did you expect that player to be able to go into the playoffs?
Thanks for being honest with me, buddy.
Yeah,
like, I would have been like, Cam, we know you were jacked up. Can you?
How did you expect him to go on the road in the playoffs and be able to make magic when he's not able to throw the ball, in his own words, 20 yards down the field? It makes absolutely no sense. And, I mean, I will be honest, though, that is a tough spot to be in, to bench your starter when you're alive.
No, we were on an 8-game losing streak.
And I understand that, and we knew that
we're not alive, brother.
I mean,
we are. That's like saying a mug that is brain dead and is on life support. Dude, I mean, I gotta wait. I mean, there's a chance.
No,
there could be brain activity. That. I think they farted.
I maintain after Seattle, we knew that this team was DOA. All right, dead on arrival. There was nothing left for this team to be able to put forth as a legitimate contending football team. But at the same time, I don't know. It's a tough spot to be in. But I feel Cam Newton has been so mismanaged in so many different ways up to this point in his career, both his health, with the players around him on the offensive line, at the wide receiver position. I mean, his best receiving option has been a tight end for a long time now. And that's not.
Remember, we're trying to put people around him. That's what my goal since I got here was to put people around him. All Lee reminds this is that, folks, you heard it here on the C3 Panthers podcast. It's time to build that wall. Build that wall around Cam Newton. And
build that wall.
It was who said it? Someone else said a good one too, and it was Trill Wood said it's time to declare a national emergency. And build that wall. I think David Tepper's got to step in here, declare a national emergency, and build a wall of people.
And shut down the government. And shut down the government.
Shut down the paychecks until this wall is built.
Around Cam
I believe
Newton. 100%. And people on Twitter still fight me tooth and nail about, the offensive line is okay. We just need one player.
If I hear one more person talk about how Andrew Norwell shows how we have actually cared about Cam Newton, I'm going to blow actually, I'm not. I'm going to blow your brains out.
Yeah,
not you, Cody. Not
answer.
you. That person.
And by the way,
here's the idea. How many guys, and you brought this up, Cody, so I'm going to parrot what you've said, is all of those opportunities where you talk about these guys coming in, Tyler Larson not being that bad, they have all sat there in waiting behind Matt Khalil and Amini Silatulu. So, and this did not mean, I did not mean for this to be, because what have I said for the last month? You wanted to pull the Band-Aid off with Ron Rivera and have him fired. I didn't. I wanted to wait one more year, do it a different way. So the idea now is each and every day my patience is getting shorter, and I feel like I'm one of the most patient. Yeah,
I wanted to do this last year. I wanted to move on to I made the analogy before that if you're in an abusive relationship and you have the mindset of, well, I'll never be able to do any better, so I might as well just accept my lot in life. I mean, that's a loser mentality, So I understand. But listen, we have Ron Rivera as our coach for the 2019 season. So,
and we're gonna have to listen to this bullshit about how he prioritized all of this crap. How like all of a sudden we just realized Ron Rivera is an offensive coach. We did not know it.
Yeah,
we did not know it. All of a sudden, all right, let's go to this. Is you're listening to the C3 Panthers podcast? We encourage you to smash that thumbs up button. Right, subscribe to the show, comment, call in. The number's 252-228-5098. Grow Panther Nation together with us. Right. By being a part of the conversation. Let's do this. Let's roll Cam Newton's Love Life clip. It's just a tweet, but Cam Newton posts on Instagram this week, and it goes something to this effect. Let me see if I can see it right here. He says, make no mistake about it. I would be the first to tell you I'm not perfect, but I'm damn worth it. Hashtag shine through the shade. One love. What we now have is this. We have a scandal.
Some real investigative journalism going on.
Is that, some people, they care about Meghan Markle. Some people care about the Queen of England and Prince Charles and Prince Harry and these people. I care about the true royalty of Panther Nation, and that's Cam Newton, his love life. I think Cam Newton and his girlfriend are having problems. What's her name again? Something Kia Proctor?
Yeah, Kia Proctor, yeah.
Problems in paradise, folks. Problems in paradise.
Yeah, so Tony Dunn brings this to my attention that
right before the show, by the way.
Yeah, right. I had no idea that this was even a thing. There are no pictures of Kia on Cam Newton's Instagram page, and vice versa is true. There are no pictures of Cam on Kia's Instagram page. Did I say that right? I hope I said it right. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. Yeah, I did not know this.
Specifically with hers first, I saw someone point this out, and that is, where's Cam Newton? Because if that was your man and this is your baby, you want to be. And right after we saw them together beautifully in the intro to his YouTube video, now problems in Camadice.
Yeah, man. I don't know. This would be a weird thing. I heard that they were having another child. So if this is
Josh from Mass says, read all about it. Cam's arm isn't all that's broken.
Oh no!
Oh, a broken heart. He's got a broken heart. I hope he doesn't have a broken. You know what?
Yeah, I kind of think maybe that's what he was talking about. God, I hope not. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
Anyone?
Maybe I don't know, but oh man, we're off the rails right now. but listen though, I don't know if this is true. I hope they're working out, man. They've made a beautiful little family. Listen, Tony, I know relationships are tough, man. People grow. People have
problems. They
go through tough patches, man. I mean, they make the mistake of not growing together. People are growing. People are growing all the time. And
imagine how much pressure it is too for someone like this that has every resource, who has so many responsibilities. To my wife will be disappointed if I don't help clean up, or help get the kid. Like I was reading with the girl. With Madeline, read for a half hour before the show tonight. And so there are pressures on people who are always together. Imagine all the pressures that come also too. I know that we think about all the money, but there's got to be a lot of stress that comes in from the engagements, the social media attention, the attention of all the beautiful women that must look, all the beautiful men like Tony Dunn who shower attention on Cam Newton.
Yeah, man. Dude, our chat room is lit right now. B Amos 85 said Cam pull-out game is weak, which it is, but
they like my Camadice.
Camadice. Cameron Dice would be perfect without Ron Rivera. Yeah, maybe it would be, man. But listen, imagine what kind of show you think we ran if the first thing you heard us talking about was chanting "Build that wall," and now we're talking about Cameron Love Life. Yeah,
we're like Alex Jones meets TMZ.
Yeah, 100%. Listen, everything that you could ever want in a Panthers podcast is right here, folks. Right here. I don't know. I really don't have too much else to say, but other than I hope it all works out. If there is trouble in paradise, I wouldn't wish family problems on anybody. I wouldn't imagine.
Good news, folks. There is one thing we could check off the list. It's not financial problems. Financial problems are a lot of the starting point when it comes to relationships. And I'm guarantee you at this moment in time, this is not a financial issue. This is not a financial issue. I promise you that.
More money, more problems. Ain't that what they say? Ain't that what they say?
Yeah. I want to find them problems.
Yeah.
Folks, help me find those problems by donating to C3 Panthers podcast. You can find the Patreon link in the show. Smash that thumbs up button. Call in. Hey, let's do this. You're listening to the C3 Panthers podcast. It's the longest running Panthers podcast on the internet. We appreciate your support jumping in. Cody, what we have been doing for the last maybe 3-4 weeks now has been previewing a potential free agent coming into that, because we will be, this is the way the football calendar works, folks, right now. And I believe today was the day that they could do tenders for restricted free agents or something like that. Now we're going to be coming into the days where they will start to franchise tag people. The combine's on the way. But free agency truly dictates how teams will address the combine, how they will address the back end of free agency, how they will address building their rosters in the offseason. That's why we've been looking ahead to free agency first. And Cody likes to do a little segment on the show, Better Get to Know Panthers free agent. Who you got for us this week, Cody?
Today we are going to initiate the first step in building that wall, my friends. That's right. We are going to preview our first offensive lineman of our free agency preview, and it's another New England Patriot. I know, but hear me out. Today we're looking at Trent Brown, the offensive tackle, the left tackle from the New England Patriots. He is 6'8", 380 pounds of pure get the hell out of my way, folks. He is a massive human being, and the true upside to Trent Brown is the pass protection. I mean, you see right here against the Chiefs, he's able to move D Ford, who we just previewed last time, lead him right around the quarterback. I mean, he has the length and the power to be able to give your quarterback a full 7 or 8 seconds in the pocket, if not more, to be able to deliver the football all over the field. For a man
He getting tagged.
Maybe so. It's either that or Trey Flowers. But no. As a matter of fact, no. They drafted Isaiah Wynn out of Georgia last year.
That's right.
So there is a very real possibility that he will be a player that hits the open market. Now, the question is, we have Matt Khalil still on the roster. So
he's on trash duty. He is on trash duty.
Are you going to sign another left tackle after a few years ago you've already signed another left tackle to even more money? I hope so. Trent Brown makes us a better offensive line right now. He does everything that we want him to do. He moves up the field. He's well on pull blocks. His feet never get away from him. I mean, he's a powerful man. His arms are
and what a great season this year. Tremendous season going into a contract. He's drafted in 2015. He started 2 games as a rookie, but then he started 16 games at right tackle in 2016. That was the year they played the Atlanta Falcons, I'm pretty sure, in the Super Bowl. So you've got the Atlanta Falcons. That's correct, right? Or was it 2017 that was the Falcons?
Yeah, no, 16 was the Falcons, and 17 was Philadelphia.
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, obviously he was not. Oh, he was drafted by San Francisco. Originally played with San Francisco, comes to New England, starts all 16 games at left tackle. This is the type of year you want to have if you're becoming a free agent. Now, I guess really, Cody, is that do you do it? And here is my thing on it is that I'm like this is that let's push the chips on either an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman in free agency. Is that you can only answer so many needs going into the draft. We need somebody. If this happened, I would not be disappointed in the least.
So let's answer some questions. All the three in the chat says, what's his age? He's only 25 years old.
Yep.
Okay, so he's still very young, still has the future ahead of him. And he said the Georgia boy was a guard for them. They have Joe Thuney at the left guard. And the guy they drafted, Isaiah Wynn, played left tackle his entire career or his entire time playing for the Bulldogs. So they were trying to, people in the draft are trying to, they take players, and they're doing it this year with Jonah Williams from Alabama too. They say, their arms are not long enough, so they might move them inside to guard. Listen, if they play tackle at a high level, don't overthink this. You put them at the left tackle position where you know they're able to play. So with that said, they have a left tackle that'll be able to fill in for them right now. So they're able to move on from Trent Richardson. The question is,
Trent Brown.
Is are you gonna move on from Ryan or Matt Khalil? I mean, that's the question.
Yes.
Everyone wants to know. I mean, come on, Ron Rivera is our coach. He probably loves Matt Khalil.
Like, you're going to sign Trent Brown and then start Matt Khalil.
Yeah.
Here's Trent Brown off of the Adam Schefter podcast. Quote, hopefully it's somewhere I can build some longevity, somewhere that will be a great place and a great fit schematically in the locker room, on the field, and also a great fit for my family as well. Really calculated statement there. And I tell you this, Charlotte, great place to live, great place to raise a family. And, I can't tell you much about our scheme right now because it could be rebuilt in a year and a half for all we know.
Yeah.
But he is a big boy. He's a big man. He's bigger than most left tackles. He almost looks like a right tackle.
I mean, it's hard to make Cam Newton look small, but this would be the man that would do it. I mean, every bit of 6'8", he moves well. He's very powerful, and the best is still out in front of him, and it serves a position of needed. So that way, in the draft, for all of you people that are shouting at the top of your lungs, we have to have a defensive lineman. The draft is so deep. Get an edge rusher, get Cleveland Farrell, Montez Sweat. Hey, I'm down, but a move like this has to happen first in order for me to feel comfortable doing that. Knowing how Cam Newton has been beaten up by bad offensive line play all this time, I want to invest in people that are worth the investment. Trent Brown is 100% one of those people. It would be a day one starter.
This is the Overtime Podcast Network.
No, number one comment when anytime you talk about bringing up this is a top tier free agent. This is probably the most highly. This is probably going to be the outside of like a Clowney or guys that are going to get tagged. Is that this is going to be if he doesn't get tagged? Now that's the thing is the Patriots could tag him or Trey Flowers. Not Trey Flowers. Trey.
Yeah, Trey Flowers.
Yeah. Okay. So they could tag two of them, but then the time, and I do love this, is anytime you mention free agency, to Carolina Panthers fans, there's two responses. One side chirps in and says, we never get a free agent. Ever go out. We're talking, even Matt Khalil was barely going after it, right? And then there's the other group that also, and a lot of times they're the same people, say, we don't have the money to get this guy. Saw someone in the chat room talk about Khalil Cap, Torrey Smith, Cockrell, and Denoris Cersei cut him. My man is cut. He's like a Mexican at a bar fight, cutting everything.
Hey man. Sometimes you have to clean house.
Shaq's $9 million reduced for more cap space as well. Is that, I agree, is that like that could be an answer? Spreading Shaq's money out. Torrey Smith adds 5. Khalil doesn't help us till next year. I feel like you're gonna have to be stuck with him cleaning up the parking lot.
But would you really move on from Shaq at the same time that you just lost Thomas Davis?
No. I think they're gonna have to extend Shaq to like a 3-year deal. And try to spread the money out a little bit.
No, they have to. I mean, unless you want to put yourself in a position where you're forced to draft another one. And I know we drafted 2 last year, but the linebacker position is not deep for us anymore. I even believe that David Mayo is a free agent. If I'm correct. So.
And now Ben Jacobs is, which we've never seen him play linebacker, but Ben Jacobs is now coach.
Yeah, he's a coach now. So there's not a lot of depth at that position. The name to look out for, there are 2 names to look out for. One, and neither of them I think are going to happen. That's Dontari Poe and Matt Khalil. And I honestly don't see us moving on from either of those guys.
Nope, you can't. It doesn't help you. It opens up so little cap space. And we'll talk a ton about this as we get closer to free agency, but this is kind of a free agent moment. And that is, while you cut, you also have to replace them. Yeah. So is that you need all of a sudden to go, and here's the deal, is that a lot of times people want to do this with wide receivers. They're like, well, we could save this, but then you have to bring in another player. You have to have enough warm bodies at least. And so if a guy makes $5 million, if you save $5 million, but you have to pay another guy who is comparable or even worse as a player, $3 million, you save only $2 million and you downgrade. So it's not as just easy as saying we cut everybody, but there is a way to manufacture space. I think Torrey Smith's $5 million is right for the picking. Yeah. I think obviously Denoris Cersei's is right for the picking.
Captain
you know what? It would be nice if Ross Cockrell could come and be a contributor, though.
Yeah, and he was.
We could use that. Couldn't we use some depth like that?
Yeah. I don't remember.
DJ.
I don't remember his contract details off the top of my head. I don't know if we have him for another year. But I mean, Captain Munderland, Torrey Smith, Denoris Cersei. I mean, he had a concussion every other football game. It seemed like, it was just no laughing matter, So, we have a lot of decisions to make in free agency this year on our own team. And Legacy Lynn asked a good question. Is there anyone worth putting the franchise tag on? And at this point, maybe the only person is Shaq Thompson. But then that would be more than $9 million, wouldn't it? I'm imagining it would.
No, yeah. Well, I don't know. That's a good question. Is could you save like $1? I doubt that you would save. So maybe that's a great question. Would, if you tag Shaq, because it's the average of the top 3, it has to be. His $9 million has to be an average anyway. So no, I would say that is less than the franchise tag. What about this? Wild call here. Franchise tag Darrell Williams. No way. Way too much money, don't you think?
Yeah,
It would be like a shit ton of money, and you would have to be confident that my man is going to come out and blast.
Yeah, and that's a ton.
What if you
of money.
franchise tagged him and traded Darrell Williams? Booyah. For nothing. Who's going to do it? Nothing. It's not even worth it. It's a stupid question. It's even a stupid
not getting
statement.
a first-round pick out of Darrell Williams from anyone. You're especially off of 1 year. And listen, and you know these guys too. Marxist Panther on Twitter and Billy Marshall. A lot of other guys are very down on Darrell Williams. And listen, I'm at the point where if you have criticisms of a Panthers offensive lineman, I want to hear it. Because if they're a liability in any sort of way, then I want to know, because I don't want them to protect Cam Newton if that's the case. But, they're saying that,
there is 0 tags. There are 0 franchise tags on the Carolina Panthers roster, unless, let me ask you this.
Okay.
Should we, serious question, franchise tag either Cameron Artis-Payne or Amina Silatulu?
Dude, definitely Silatolu, man. Come on. I mean, look, that dude has given
you
us.
You got the C3 franchise tag for Cap.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, Amina Silatolu has to be franchised.
Yeah, we actually have 0 people that are worth tagging. 0.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's terrible. It's terrible. We're going to get back into the free agent list in just a moment. Cody, let's go ahead and jump into the cat calls. The number is 252-228-5098. You can be a part of the C3 Panthers podcast. Be sure to support the show. Subscribe. Share it with a friend. Send one Panthers friend. This is my challenge to you. Send one Panther friend and say, hey, if you listen to the latest Panthers, C3 Panthers podcast, they said Ron Rivera is Pinocchio. And it's true. All right, here we go. Let's see what we got here.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in the snow? Who's that kid that can use one?
What's up? This is G from RCA. Hey, I'm gonna keep it short and simple. It's almost draft time. I know combine's coming up and everything, but let me give you guys a little question.
Shoot.
Like I called before and I said, would you rather prefer defense or offense come to draft? And me personally, I want somebody on the offensive line in the first if they fall to us. Now I was looking at Brooks, this little draft, little special he had on YouTube. And usually I don't agree with him, but the position he had us taking is a tackle. It's a dude's name, Jonah Williams out of Alabama.
Hell yeah.
Could you see him falling to 16? And could you see him being a Carolina Panther? Because, he played left tackle in Alabama,
Yeah.
And, a lot of Alabama players, a lot of them become bust, you know what I'm saying? But I think, Williams could, protect Cam's blind side. So give me you guys' opinion on that. And another player that I was looking at, but I really don't want him, is that damn defensive tackle out of Clemson. And Cody, I'm talking about. That dude is a monster, man. But it seems to us like we always go with defensive tackle like in every single draft for the last decade, I swear, man. But what's you guys' opinion on that? And keep pounding.
So, well, let me talk for a minute about Jonah Williams. Jonah Williams right now is described as the best left tackle in the draft. Now, what's happening to the man, and I've already mentioned this a little bit, is that they're knocking him for short arms, which is understandable because then you have guys like we've previewed on the show and Charles O'Menahue, who has 84-inch arms or 84-inch wingspan, which is absolutely insane. When you have a defensive end that's able to shoot his hands into the tackle before the tackle is able to put his hands on the defender, that's a problem for the lineman. However, Jonah Williams has proven time in and time out that he has the ability and the technique and the skill set to drop his hips and anchor and put his hands at the right position and the right spot to be able to play tackle. For my money, Jonah Williams is a tackle, but even if we did draft him, I do love that he's versatile enough to be put at the guard position. If you put Jonah Williams as a guard, yeah, man, let's have a pocket that Cam doesn't have to worry about collapsing in front of him, and he can stand there and step up in and throw the football. That said, do I see him falling to the Carolina Panthers? Not a chance in hell, my friend.
Do you trade up?
It depends on how far up is. If you're around 9 or 10, maybe so. But I feel
if it's at 11, you know what I mean? If he drops out of the top 10 all of a sudden, say there's a strange run on quarterbacks, potentially could happen. Yeah. Doubtful. You're at 16 and he's sitting there at 12. You pull the trigger?
I just imagine, man, if you're listen, it doesn't matter who you are. Every team has a need to better their offensive line. And there are so many teams ahead of us with bad offensive lines that could use a Jonah Williams. So, for example, if the Jets trade down, I don't know how far it would end up being, but the Jets are at number 3. If they end up trading down, even to like 7 or 8 or whatever, I don't see Jonah Williams falling out of the top 10. I mean, he's that kind of football player. On that level, he's just absolutely the technique that he has coming out of Alabama. I mean, he's ready to play right now. He pulls on a high level, great vision moving up the field. I don't see it though. And Dexter Lawrence, yeah, man, Dexter Lawrence is a monster. Defensive tackle out of Clemson. Don Tari Poe right now isn't half the man Dexter Lawrence is.
Oh, shucks. That's not true.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I'm telling you, man.
I said, you know what is maybe, though, and I've been kind of leaning a little bit more towards this, is I wonder if our personnel does lean more towards a 3-4 with Poe at the nose. We talked about this a little bit last week. I don't know, but we'll see. This is no sense in kind of flogging that horse there. But don't worry, Poe. Don't worry on Poe, guys. He's gonna be all right. I don't think we were happy with last year, but he's got a lot to prove. And if it doesn't happen after this year, then you can say goodbye to him. All right, we're gonna keep pounding with these calls.
Hello, guys. It's your boy, the Black Cat, Brandon Herbert. I know.
Been a while.
All in around for a while, and I really haven't been catching too many live because I've been just really busy with work and everything. So,
sorry, I got a job too.
What's up, bro?
This is to you, Cody.
Yeah, man. My Twitter sparring partner right here.
But it seems like you claim to know. Other people do film, watch film, and study and everything just as much as you do. So just because we don't necessarily want to the whole lineman, and rather take a D lineman, which you don't get how bad our D line was last year.
I don't get how bad our defense.
Go back and look. If you like to be filmed, go back and look and see how long they actually had in the pocket. It was pathetic. Now, I will give you this. The O-line does need to be addressed. But I don't see someone at 16 unless we would be reaching, unless Jonah Williams, God touched us and then let us get Jonah Williams. I would be great with that pick. But the D-line needs to be addressed themselves. I see it's like the Panther fans, some O-line, some D-line, and everything like that. But my deal is, try to re-sign Williams. Even if we do like a short-term deal for Williams, like a prove-it deal, we'll have 2 tackles, which is the biggest problem with Cam Newton. Usually he gets hit a lot from the edge. So if we get 2 tackles, we'll have those for at least for the short term. And then, of course, we do need to draft a center and maybe a guard and everything like that. I get your point on that, but the D-line needs to be addressed.
What we've said is defensive linemen and offensive linemen only.
But me and him go back and forth on Twitter about this specifically.
Protecting Cam Newton, which everybody's main focus should be that. But at the same time,
build
we can
that
do that
wall.
At 16, I just don't want to reach for our O-lineman.
All right.
It is.
That's a good point.
I don't know.
Don't reach.
I just don't get it. Like I said, I know that it's been back and forth,
get it out and
fans and everything. Still undecided, but I really do think the D linemen. Sorry about that. I'll try to make it quicker at least. But I do think that this draft is littered with O-line and D-line talent, which is good for us because those are our main concerns. But a great pass rusher, especially a great edge pass rusher, can do worlds for your team. I mean, I know y'all remember.
But if you're not picking in the top 10, you don't get that guy. Great,
but the pass
you don't get that guy either.
And the O-line, you give Cam a little bit of time, he can work his magic. I get it. But if I wouldn't be mad if they take an O-lineman. If an O-lineman's there and it won't be a reach, take an O-lineman. Sure. First of all, we need to get either an O-lineman or D-lineman. And with our first pick, nothing else, unless a middle linebacker is there. That's it. Or a linebacker is there because of Thomas Davis and because we might switch to 3-4. But anyway, guys, I'm going to try to catch y'all tonight. Just hope y'all, I'm enjoying the show and everything. I do comment a little bit after I catch the show because I'm going to try, but I want to try to catch it live tonight. Anyway, guys, y'all have a great day and hopefully I'll see y'all.
All right. Let me just jump in here before because I'm going to let you have the mic.
Yeah.
And that is that if it's hard to get a top flight tackle at 16, it's just as difficult to get a top flight defensive end at 16. Like no one is less. If anything, is that I'm just sorry. Is that name me a defensive end that has just been immediately dominant, that has gone outside the top 10. Immediately dominant. Name me one.
Derek Barnett did pretty good for Philadelphia. I mean, they had a stacked defensive line. So
what was he? Where did he go? Where did he go?
Like 15 or 16, right around.
This guy, by the way, loved Derek Barnett. Wanted the Panthers to take him at 8.
Yeah.
All right.
So listen, if you say that this is a deep draft at the defensive line and the offensive line position, which, by the way, I do agree with. I think it is. I think there's a lot of talent at the tackle and the defensive end position. But if you are adamant that it's deep in both, then really it doesn't matter which one you would go first. If you go offensive line round 1 or defensive line round 1, with where you're picking in the second round, you should be able to then flip to the other side and grab a player. Now, I've been working for Draft Tech, and I've been doing write-ups for DraftTech.com. So when I'm looking at film, when I'm looking at Andre Dillard, for example, the tackle out of Washington State, I have to be able to tell you why he is a good player and why he isn't and what he needs to work on. Right now, here, I'm going to name 5 players that you've probably never heard of that we could take at the offensive tackle position right now that I believe are worth the 16th pick in the draft. Jawan Taylor out of Florida, badass. Andre Dillard out of Washington, probably the best pass protecting offensive tackle in the draft right now, Cody Ford from Oklahoma is a guy that's drawing a ton of really, really, a lot of people are talking about him as he might end up being one of the first offensive linemen taken in the draft. I mean, I'm looking at each and every one of those players saying that this is a player that makes our football team better right now. So I understand you don't want to reach for a player, Brandon, but what I'm saying is if you're sitting there and you have a player that allows Cam Newton to be able to deliver the football all around the field and allows us to run the football effectively, then you have to grab that player. I'm looking at, I don't want to reach for a player at all. But what I am saying, though, is that I look at a player and I have to determine if they're worth the pick. And I feel that there are 5 or more right now. Dalton Reisner, that's another one. There are players to be picked in the first round, and it's not us, we have to have an offensive lineman better reach for the next best one.
Ken Dye in the chat room states, and he is a guy who has been the most critical of the Panthers offensive line since before half of y'all were born. Ken Dye says this: I'd rather see a good offensive tackle prospect picked at 16 or no offensive lineman at all. Take someone for the outside on defense. Just don't reach. And Brad Dugan says trade down in the first round depending who was on the board. Now, interesting prospect here. I don't know where you're going to get, what type of trade value you get at 16 and move back into the 20s. But what if you can move back into the 20s and grab a guard and grab a center? And say you got a pick. Say they gave you their 20 and their second.
I'm not mad at that at all.
We could use that. Is that at the same time as instead of pushing all your chips in on an offensive lineman at 16, you're still pushing your chips, but you're split. You're basically backing your bet. If you were playing like craps or something in Vegas, is you put a little money behind the bet, get a little bit more. We have a lot of holes to fill. It would not be a tremendously bad option to trade back and get. What if you traded back in the 20s and we drafted 2 offensive linemen back to back, even if they were a guard and a center, you would not be pissed.
Yeah, I mean, you know me, I'm not pissed at it at all. And by the way, I want to say one other thing as well. No one has ever said that the defensive line is not a problem, that we don't need to add talent on the defensive line.
It was so bad it made the secondary look good.
Yeah,
the defensive line was so bad that it made a mediocre secondary look better than mediocre.
And listen, I'm a Clemson fan. I mean, you see the championship banner behind my head, man. You think I'm not jumping for joy if Cleveland Farrell is a Carolina Panther? I mean, come on, dude. I love that. What I'm saying, though, is that my love for Cam Newton and protecting our franchise comes above all else. And one of the things I do love is that a few of the players, they're position versatile. Cody Ford out of Oklahoma, Yadni Kajus out of Virginia, West Virginia. They have the ability to be able to move inside as well. And we have positions of need on the inside. So you're at a certain point in the first and second round, you're not reaching for players if they're good and they make you a better football team right now. And there are players that do that. That's all I'm saying. We should be able
Lynn says, I believe they're scouting the AAF. And as an AAF aficionado, Lynn,
all right.
This guy right here has gone all in on the AAF. I am a Salt Lake City Stallions fan. Hardcore. We ride or die Stallions. That's right. We're fast. We're not fast out of the gate. We're trying to get around. We're 0-2 right now. Please don't get Potosi, who is the left tackle for the Stallions, who was a high draft pick in the NFL. He's sorry right now for the Stallions. He's got a lot of development still ahead of him. My buddy, we do this on Pirate Radio 1250 AM. You can download the Pirate Radio app on Fridays. I'm on with Clip Brock on the host of the Sports Bar, and we have decided that we're going hardcore AAF football fans, and we are ride or die about this at this moment. We've been all into it. We've been excited watching it. He asked a tough question, Cody, and that is, what's the over-under on players who are playing on Saturday or Sunday this weekend, playing on Sunday in 6 months or whatever it is when the NFL was going on? So that's a tough figure, is it not? He threw out the number, I think 8, and I was thinking it was 4.
Yeah.
Maybe you filled some kickers out there, but some interesting questions. The AAF is a fun topic. Have you watched any of it, Cody?
I caught the opening week of play. I haven't seen any since. I've seen the clips on Twitter. I have not.
You gotta watch it, dude.
Yeah,
it's amazing. How are you missing out? You're too busy studying college tape. You need to be studying AAF tape. It's the real deal. I love it. Remember the Stallions. Now, Cody won't remember this because he's going to be too young, probably. But there's a movie, a Bruce Willis and Damon Wayans movie called The Last Boy Scouts, where it was surrounding this football. In the opening scene, this player who has got a gambling debt and is like snorting PCP in the locker room at halftime they got something hanging over his head, and he breaks out a run or something, and he then pulls a 9mm out of his pocket, out of his waistband, and blasts a defensive player. His name is Billy Cole. He killed himself after he got the touchdown in the opening scene of The Last Boy Scout. He was a Stallion, folks. That is the connection of why I'm a Stallions fan. Billy Cole.
All right.
That's what we're going to do to people. Murder them on the field.
All right, then. I'm a San
Gary
Diego.
Gilbert is an Apollos. Gary Gilbert's killing as Apollos.
Yeah. My story is not as fun. I have an uncle that lives in San Diego, so I'm pulling for San Diego.
You're the commander. You're a commander.
Yeah. I'm one of those. I am gonna watch it more, and apparently, remember Zach Sanchez after we let go Josh Norman? Yeah. He was a part of the 3 cornerbacks that we drafted. It was Bradbury, the guy that we ended up letting go. I forget his name now. I remember names after the show.
It was Bradbury, Sanchez, and the third one was Daryl Worley. It was
Daryl Worley. Yeah, and but Zach Sanchez is playing. He had some
got roasted.
I mean, he had an interception. I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that on Twitter. Kayvon Seymour is playing for them also. He was a
Garrett Gilbert threw a dime to former Panther Charles Johnson, who was we just know because he was a Viking. He never played with the Panthers hardly at all. And it was on Zach Sanchez. It was the Panthers trifecta in that game. Gary Gilbert, whatever his name is playing strong for the Apollos. So that I'm all in on that. My question, a lot of questions coming up when it comes to AAF, and it's gonna be fun. And wait until you get the XFL coming in. There's the Freedom Football League that I've recently been informed about. Didn't know about this one. So there's a lot of things going out there. I'm excited about this. Last topic. All right, so we do need to we've gone through the cat calls, we've done everything. Quickly, let's just talk free agents when it comes to the Carolina Panthers. We'll do 5 minutes on this. And we're not talking about potential free agents that we go and sign. We're talking about guys who are hitting free agency that were on the roster last year. It's a long list. There's 19 names. I'm going to read it off to you just in one fatal swoop. Mike, and so be thinking about names that stick. Mike Adams, safety. Cameron Artis-Payne, running back. Of course, that one sticks. Kenyon Barner, running back. Travaris Cadet, running back. Chandler Catanzaro, kicker. Offensive tackle Chris Clark. Linebacker Thomas Davis, who is not even on it. Devin Funchess, Wes Horton, Ben Jacobs, not on it anymore. Colin Jones, Kyle Love, David Mayo, Marshall Newhouse, Eric Reed, not on it anymore. Sela Tulu, Fozzie Whitaker, Darrell Williams. To me, the last and not the least is Darrell Williams. Other than that, there's not a single name that sticks out to me on this. Is that if you say Cameron Artis-Payne on this show about trying to sign him back to the Carolina Panthers, I hate you. I hate you.
If I were him, I'd flip the Panthers bird, man.
Yeah, I know. You signed me the first time, assholes. Did you forget that one?
Yeah.
But there's not a single name on this other than Darrell Williams, because we have added Eric Reed, who was a free agent. We did that. Kyle Love, maybe? Colin Jones.
Out of all those, Kyle Love would be a good one. Mike Adams brings in another. Another. I'm not saying bring him back. I'm saying that brings up another point that we have a need at the safety position. And, here we are talking about offensive line and defensive line. That's what makes that comment that you made. Maybe it is a better move to trade back because we don't have a lot of depth at linebacker. We need another safety to get younger to replace Mike Adams. There are players or there are positions on the football team that we don't have a lot of depth at, or we need someone to be able to come in and how about running back? So, for example, Christian McCaffrey is running the ball every single time more than any other running back in the NFL. This isn't a very there aren't a lot of names in this draft, but there are some players, man. Elijah Holyfield, Josh Jacobs. There's players that you should draft.
How could we not want Evander Holyfield's kid?
I know, the real deal, man. Come on. How could you? Ditto, Tony. I feel the 100% same way. And he's a beast too, man. He's a powerful.
I think running backs are easy to find. At this point, is that good God? I just love Cameron Artis-Payne. He was my guy, and you asshole, you can't sign him. It doesn't even make any sense. That doesn't even make sense. That's like bringing Coney Ely back.
Yeah, that makes utterly
you made
sense.
fun of him and then got rid of him and then made fun of him again, and now you want to sign him? No.
Cut Mike Adams. I think we're he's not on that list.
It's a non-issue. He's gotta go.
Yeah, Mike, and it's not that he's a bad player, it's just that we can do better. I mean, we know
we should have never been at the bottom of the well, that deep at the bottom of the well. We should never have been that deep.
Yeah.
I will feel this is the only one that I'm interested in, and Darrell Williams is, can you give him a prove it deal?
But how often do you ever see a player take a prove it deal? I feel you never.
What if you said this to Darrell Williams, kind of like what they did from a man who was Dante Moncrief? They signed Dante Moncrief 1 year, $11 million. It's a respectable and big money for a 1 year deal, right? No spreading it out, but that's it. So, what if you paid Darrell Williams what a starting right tackle would make for 1 year, and that's it?
I mean,
What
if my aunt had nuts? Then she'd be my uncle.
Okay.
I
would be less interested in your aunt.
Well, all right. I've never. I don't know. It just sounds so good in theory, but can you name me of a time where a player? Well, okay, other than Tyrann Mathieu, just popped in my head last year. But I mean, how many people ever, sign a 1 year prove it deal? I mean, especially this is a guy that knows that he got hurt last year.
I can't prove it. That's my problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know what? This is like we had 19 free agents that were departing our team. And you got to say that this is the least affinity you have ever had to 19 people walking out of your house at one time. Imagine if 19 people stormed out of your house right now and you're like, maybe I'd ask that one guy. Right? It's like there is zero on this team. Kind of shows you how, man, what were we thinking last year when we thought we had talent? I don't know. Maybe we were misguided.
Hey, man, shout out to Joe Riolano. Joe Riolano called it. He said we looked old.
Yep.
And, that's what we were.
I think I'm done right now. I think we've done a good job right now getting through this. We only talked about Cam Newton's love life for like 4 minutes. We only talked about these free agents for 4 minutes. We talked about Ron Rivera for 82 minutes.
I bet that's the longest that anyone's ever talked about Ron Rivera for any reason.
No, we have been talking about Ron Rivera for 2011. Same thing every dang year. You're right, though. Straight, continuous, 82 minutes. Even his wife is tired of talking about him like that. Zing, zing. All right. This is getting off the rails. All right, let's do this. We've got one last segment. We want to hear from you guys going forward, though. Remember, subscribe to the show, share it with a friend, drop it in a Facebook group, Reddit, wherever you hang out and talk Panthers. Send one person the link and say, check out this. These guys are stupid when it comes to Panthers, but fun. Now, last segment of the show, Cody, is the Ice Up Pick of the Week. And I am going to go first. I hope you got a good one. I hope you got a good one because I'm going. Now, the Ice Up Pick, guys, is the longest running segment on the C3 Panthers podcast. It's where we tell someone to ice up, toughen up, get it together. Anybody is fair game. This is not limited to football. It can go out into the whole world. It can go into politics. It can go into society. I've iced up a 15-year-old kid in Oklahoma, and today I'm going to ice up a kid who just turned 11 years old this past week. His name, Michael Dunn. My son is getting iced up on this podcast.
Oh, no.
Yes, my man. I love this dude. He's so good. Such a good kid. So smart. All these things. All of this potential ahead of him. So he gets this kind of, he likes to be called a preteen right now because he's not a kid anymore, but he's not a teenager. So he wants to be called a preteen. Right? So we took him for a preteen birthday where they took him to the movies and we let him sit with his friends and we sat away from him, right? And like he just sat on his own with his friends and all this. They gave him his gifts. And since it was at a movie theater, people didn't bring like presents. It's cool. Like kids ain't giving toys out when you're hitting 11, 12 years old anymore. So they give my son all gift cards, which is legit. My son racks up on 3 gift cards, $75 from iTunes. All right. So that's a good amount of money. That's like the smash and grab of iTunes gift cards right there. It's a big deal, $75. So since that was on Saturday and we didn't get home till 4:00, right now my man has $72. He has $2 left out of $75 on iTunes gift cards, where he has crushed through $73 of iTunes gift cards playing Roblox and this other game. These like 3 games, and he's buying coins. He's got his own VIP room set up where him and his friends go in and they Roblox together, whatever they do, and they hang out in this virtual world. They sit in the same room half the time and do this. But to you, Michael Dunn, how do you spend $75 on the damn internet at 11 years old in 2 freaking days? We've been yelling. I was going crazy at dinner tonight. To USA, ice up, Michael Dunn. Gotta learn some conservation, brother.
Oh man, hey, you know what? It's his present. You know, I mean,
he's gonna be asking me for the Game Pass to Fortnite in about 5 days. So no.
Yep. All right, man. I saw Michael Dunn. So, by the way, is your son a Pisces then? If his birthday was recently, do you know?
February 11th. Well, let me see. Y'all look it up. I don't know. I don't keep up with it.
I believe so. Well, if it does, he shares one thing.
He's Aquarius.
Aquarius. Okay, so he's on the cusp, like myself. Because the next time we do this show, I will be 29 years old. I have a birthday coming up.
Oh, happy almost birthday.
Yeah. And nobody, I hate those people that, hey, guess what? It's my birthday. You're basically saying, say happy birthday to me, which I guess that's what I just did. Anyway, man, my ISO pick for the night. You all have probably heard something about this in the news. And I feel that it's appropriate. We're going to talk about this, man.
Oh, God.
We're going to talk about Jesse Smollett. Jesse Smollett is an actor on Empire who said that two men assaulted him. They were wearing MAGA hats. They put a noose around his neck. It was a hate crime. And even days before, they sent him a threatening letter in the mail. And as it turns out, those two guys were both from Nigeria. And it's now being reported that Jesse Smollett has probably made up this entire thing, even sent the letter to himself in an attempt to save his spot on the show Empire, to garner some sympathy. And this is my position, man. People do dumb shit. We all know that. But hate crimes are real. And whenever you make up stuff like this and just throw it out there, you do a disservice to people who are actually in situations such as this. I don't even need to say much more. The man's a liar, caught in a lie, and still maintains that he was never lying about it. To this day,
you can't turn your back on that one, man. It's kind of like you cheat on your wife and get caught. You just got to keep. You got to be like, nope. This is not a girl. That is not you. You got to deny reality when it's that bad. You got to stick with it.
And listen, that if this is true, which it appears it is, what a trash human being. If that's what you feel you need to do to save your career. I mean, come on. Now you've made a situation where now other people in the future might not be believed when something happens to them. So to Jesse Smollett, and by the way, who spells Jesse with a U? Come on, man.
Say Smollett. It's you say Smollett.
Whatever. Ice him up.
All right, so I do want to mention this, and my wife likes this actor a lot. She's a fan of this Empire show. She likes any shows about music. She loves to sing. She said this, and she said, when I told her about this, she said, she had heard about it, but she hadn't heard about all the fake stuff as much. She's like, I can't believe they're going to write him off the show. I'm like, it's this and that. But I will say this, and I don't want to be, I usually give everybody the benefit of the doubt, and I did in this case, but I said, isn't it weird that you walk up with a noose around your neck? It's the first thing if someone tried to kill me and put bleach on me and I would get that crap off. I'd be like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, I'm going to walk down the road and be like, you see this? These mothers tried to lynch me. That is immediately when I knew something was fishy. It's like, I'm going to wear it like a necktie up into my house.
Apparently, he was so shaken up, he left it around his neck for 45 minutes.
Yeah, like a necktie, man. I want to get my tie off my neck as soon as I get home from work. I'm throwing as far as I can.
Didn't call the cops. And the guys are from Nigeria. They're African. And you're saying they had MAGA hats on and shit?
So fantastic.
Dude,
it's
so
not fantastic. It's just like, gosh, it is. You ruin, and I have a buddy who studies political science, and he is kind of right down the middle. And I would say I'm down the middle, but lean left because I've been pushed that way. But he said this, the worst thing liberals can do historically and going forward is to be overly critical about stuff that isn't that big of a deal, because then it makes people have sympathy. And that's what you're saying, is that like Ken said in the chat room, the boy who cried wolf ruins these things for good people, for real seriousness. Jesse Smollett, who say Smollett, ice up.
You say Smollett. Yeah, ice up to you, man. Ice up to you.
All right. You're listening to the C3 Panthers podcast. What a great audience tonight. We had over 40 people watching the show live tonight, which is insane because there's absolutely nothing to talk about when it comes to football. But these kids know how to rap for an hour and 42 minutes about some Carolina Panthers and life. These kids are Tony Dunn and Cody Lashney. Cody, how can they follow you on Twitter?
At CODYLAC, Cody Lack on Twitter. Like I said, I respond to everyone, man. I say this at the end, but I need to say it more. The draft is ramping up. I'm working for drafttech.com. There's a brand new mock draft tomorrow on drafttech.com with comments for the first and the second rounds. So be on the lookout for that. My Twitter account is mostly football, and I'm trying my hardest to not talk about politics, but it's tough, all right? I'm sorry. I have a brain that thinks about stuff in the outside world. I'm sorry. I'll try and keep it to football, but yeah, that's it for me.
All right, my name's Tony Dunn. You can follow me at cat_Chronicles. We're on YouTube, Cat Chronicles. We're on Facebook, Carolina Cat Chronicles, and we're on every podcast app, player, whatever you could think of. And if we're not, you can just find us by however the hell you're listening to us right this second. So we ask you to share the show, to build Panther Nation, and to keep pounding.
Keep pounding, people. Till next Tuesday.
Subscribe to the C3 Carolina Panthers podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, or anywhere you can catch an RSS feed. Check out CarolinaCatChronicles.com for the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective.
Great cash, homie.
Jake Knapp is the inventor of the design sprint and the New York Times bestselling author of the book Sprint. He's also the co-founder of Character, a venture fund for early stage startups. How and why did you start using Miro?
I came from this position of thinking, I don't want to be doing stuff online, to thinking now when I do a sprint in person with a company, it's like, we're going to use Miro, even though we're all in the same room, because that's a better way for us to get this work done. As an investor, we're basically investing in their ability to solve problems. We're saying, we think this group of people is going to be able to solve a problem in a really great way and create value by doing it. And actually, you need to give people the tools that can help them make decisions, help them collaborate, help them visualize and see things in a different way. And Miro does all those things. So to me, at least as an investor, I'm thinking, give the team the tools that are going to help them think, that are going to make the most, brighten their skills as smart folks. And Miro is at the top of that list.
Looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. You could turn $10 into $250. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/fan and use code FAN. That's code FAN at prizepicks.com/fan.
Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.